If you came to Ruby from a language like Java, JavaScript, or C#, one of the differences you probably noticed early on was how Ruby handles creating objects. In most modern OO languages, creating an instance looks something like this, with the keyword new followed by the name of the class. Whereas in Ruby, the new is a method called on the class. And then things get stranger still. Whereas in most other languages, a constructor is a method with the same name as the class, in Ruby, we define our constructor by writing a method called initialize. Today, let's explore how Ruby constructs new objects and how we can customize the process to our own ends. The easiest way to understand object construction in Ruby is to rewrite it ourselves. We'll start with a class-level method called myNew. To construct a new instance, Ruby needs to do three things. 1. Allocate a new empty object to the given class. 2. Run any specialized initialization code defined for the class. And 3. Return the initialized instance. For step 1, allocating a new empty object, we use a built-in method called, appropriately enough, allocate. Remember that we are defining a class method here, so the object we are sending allocate to is the point class itself. Step 2 is running specialized initialization for the object. In this case, we want to set two instance variables, x and y. But setting instance variables from outside the instance is pretty painful. It would be easier if we could delegate that task to an instance method on the new object. We'll call the instance method myInitialize. It occurs to us that the point initializer might not always take just two arguments. What if we added names to the points, or a third dimension? We don't want to have to change the list of parameters in 3 different places. So we generalize the constructor method to take any arguments and simply pass them along to the initializer instance method as is, using the splat operator. While we're at it, we also arrange for any block provided to the constructor to be passed along as well, using an ampersand parameter. The third step in object construction is to return the initialized object. We update our constructor method to return the new instance. And there we have it, a complete reimplementation of how Ruby's own new method works. We can try it out and see that it works. When we look at our implementation of myNew, we can see that the call to myInitialize functions as a kind of callback. It handles class-specific instance initialization only, while the class-level myNew method takes care of allocating an object and making sure that the new object is returned after initialization. The code we've just written is exactly how Ruby's own new and initialize work. And when we realize this, we realize we can make our own constructors to serve different purposes. For instance, consider a point class which may be instantiated with either polar or Cartesian coordinates. Both coordinate systems use two numbers to locate a point. How can the initializer figure out which coordinate system its arguments belong to? We can make the coordinate system explicit by defining specialized constructors for each. Knowing that new and initialize are just ordinary methods means that we can customize them in other ways. For instance, a common way to prevent a class from being instantiated in the usual way is to make the new method private. Here's a class which uses this technique to ensure that there is only one instance of it. As you can see, when we call snowflake.instance twice, we get the same object back both times. When we try to call snowflake.new, we get an error. This is also how Ruby's standard singleton library works. We can also do more exotic things, like keep a cache of instances and return objects from the cache instead of newly allocated instances. Here's a class which represents moves in the game rock, paper, scissors. Since there are only 3 valid moves, it caches each move using a hash keyed on the name of the move. As we can see from the identical object IDs, calling rpsmove.new more than once for the same move will return the same instance rather than creating a new one. Hopefully you now understand object construction in Ruby a little better. Happy hacking!
Hey there, I'm Avdi. I'm the creator of Graceful.dev. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, I want to tell you there are a lot more where that came from. Here on the YouTube channel, we regularly release new freebies from the Graceful Dev archives, so hit that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss any updates. But our YouTube channel is just a taste. Over at graceful.dev, we've got hundreds of videos like this one. From our unparalleled coverage of the Ruby programming language, to testing and refactoring strategies, to practical skills with tools like Git and Docker, we've helped thousands of programmers grow their programming practice and level up their careers. So if you're ready for more, come check us out at graceful.dev to get access to our complete and constantly growing catalog of courses. I hope to see you there.